Hi guys, okay, so I want to have a look at something we can try on our masters to make sure we get the best kind of tonal balance for the track and have things sitting in a really good place. And what we're going to use is ProMB from FabFilter, but any kind of multi-band compressor will be able to do the job. And what we're going to try doing is using a combination of compression and expansion to, as I said, try and maximize the tonal balance and make things sit as well as they can do. Now, I've got a little patch set up here so I can just give you a quick A and B as to what we're trying to achieve in this video. So let's just take this down to 100. Okay, so let me just bypass the effect. Okay, so we'll put it onto a loud section of the track. Now I just did this fairly quickly just to get a little vibe going. But I think when you bring that effect in, the track comes out the speakers more, feels a little bit bigger, a little bit more balanced, and it almost feels like it takes a little bit of a veil off it. It kind of unveils the frequencies and presents them in a better way. That's my feeling on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to build this from scratch and show you exactly what I was doing here. So let me just come and reload the default setting. Okay, so I felt listening back to this, and this is actually my own master of this track. This track is my remix of Oh Yeah, Something's Missing, featuring Mathilda Funks, which is out now on Ever After Records, which is Louis LaRoche's label. This is the Get to Know remix. So I've got another couple of videos, one on more the artistic vision I had for the remix and another one on cleaning up the low end using LFO tools. So have a look at those videos as well if you're interested. But I felt like I had two areas where the frequencies were a little bit kind of lacking, and maybe there was a little bit too much top end. So rather than just EQing those frequencies in, which is something you can do, of course, and actually I'd use these ideas in combination a lot of the time to try and get things right, we can actually move them dynamically by using a combination of compression and expansion. So let me show you what I mean. So as I said, I felt like there was a low mid area that could be enhanced a little bit. So usually we always use compression, you know, squeezing a dynamic range, squashing things, but there is a kind of cousin of compression called expansion, which means we can increase the dynamic range by turning up sounds that are above the threshold. So let me show you what I mean. So as the track plays, let's just loop a section. So our threshold is here. If I set that to be kind of having sound going above it, and I set a range, you can see we're starting to dynamically move this sound, shake it up and boost the sounds above the threshold. Now I can actually statically move the volume as well. Okay, and you can hear that starting to distort, especially because we have limiters there. They're going to start getting heavily triggered. But we can kind of dial in a nice amount. Now using the attack and release, we can determine whether we're going to bring this boost in straight away or is it going to be slightly later. So basically how much of the transients are going to be boosted, or this frequency range in the transient. And with the release setting, we can determine, is this going to be very snappy and fast, or is it going to be working more on a smoother kind of RMS kind of energy. Let me show you what I mean. So you can see it's not really pumping very much. Let me exaggerate it a little bit. Or with the fast release, it's much more dynamic. So depending on what you're looking for, do you want it to be smoother or faster, we can do that. We can change the knee. With a hard knee, again, we're going to be more snappy. And with a soft knee, we're going to be having a smoother response. I think smoother actually works a bit better on here. And with the release, we can determine, okay, do we want just the drums, which are going to be the loudest parts? Or the lower the threshold goes, we're going to be dealing with the kind of real kind of meat of the track. So, you know, all the sustains and the reverb tails, so everything's going to start getting brought up. So it's adding a really nice warmth and body in. Now let's try and balance this out with a little boost in the upper mids as well. So again, same thing, threshold, expansion. So to me, that's starting to feel quite a lot more balanced. And of course, we could fine tune this and dial this in a little bit better. Now, on the high frequencies, I just want to smoothen out slightly the very tops as well. Now, this time we can use traditional compression. So we're reducing the dynamic range rather than expanding it as we did with these two bands here. So I prefer the sound of that. I think it sounds more balanced, more present, and it almost sounds a little bit kind of more energetic, I suppose. With the effect off, it feels a little bit more things are slightly more melancholy sounding almost. It's hard to kind of describe exactly, but there's something about it which sounds much more energetic, I think, with this effect in. So you can apply this to individual loops as well. So if you listen to a drum loop you might be using in a track and you feel like there's not enough high frequencies in there, EQ is something you can do. But dynamically affecting it in this way can make things sound a lot more exciting because it's actually pumping and breathing. It's not just a static effect. Okay, so that's just something I wanted to show you. This is actually a track I mastered myself, and I don't think I actually did this on the master. So you know, it's all a journey and we're trying to get better at what we do all the time. So that's fine. But this is a technique I do use a lot now. At the moment, I'm doing it dynamic phase. This is a master and I should be doing this in linear phase. But I was just aware of the fact this uses a lot of CPU. So I didn't want to have any CPU issues on the master project. So I've just been demoing that in dynamic phase. But for mastering and for buses and things like that, generally we'd be using linear phase. All right, guys, I hope you liked that video and I hope you liked the remix. So once again, it's Oh Yeah, Something's Missing featuring Mathilda and Funks. Get to Know remix, and it's out now on Ever After Records. I'll put a link in the description. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.